Okay, it is almost 2025. Maybe it's 2025 and you are watching this video. Either way, these are going to be relevant. What I wanted to do is put together a bunch of great, proven money saving tips, practical, actual things that you can do to spend less and save more in 2025. Now, some of these you may have heard, some of them you may have not. Some of them may just be great reminders, things that you used to do back in the day, but you need to get back into the practice of doing it. I love hearing from you as well. What are the things that you want to do in this new year in order to save more money? Let me know down in the comments below. If you do enjoy my videos, and you can help support my channel by easily hitting that like button, subscribing if you enjoy the content and you want to come back for more videos, also leaving a comment, just stopping in and saying hi, or leaving your money saving tip, which I know I enjoy reading and other people do as well. So let's get into these 50 tips. We've got a lot to go through. So take a pen and paper, write down what works for you, what you want to implement, and leave the rest behind. But make sure you write them down so you can look at them later. All you have to do is pause the video when you hear one that is interesting to you. Number 1. Do a no-spend month, especially in January, February. No-spend month is where you only buy your needs, not your wants. Now, if your shoes fall apart, that's a need. You might need to go buy a pair of shoes. But you'll be surprised by the amount of money you can save on a no-spend month when you're intentionally trying to save. Especially after the holidays, this is a great time to do this because you already don't have as much of the motivation to go out and consume. Number 2, if you carry a credit card balance, meaning not that you are the person that pays it off every single month, this is a balance you have debt on a credit card. It is better to make multiple payments per month than it is one payment. So if you have $200 that you're set up to pay monthly towards that credit card debt, it's better to go in and pay $50 a week for that month. Why? Because interest on a credit card is charged daily. That 30% interest that you have on that credit card is divided by 365. That amount is charged daily. So the lower your balance is on that day, the lower the interest rate is. So the interest rate accrued on a balance that doesn't change over a month is going to be more. You're going to have more of a higher balance than if you took that same amount you were going to pay on the 31st and you paid it divided by 4 weeks or even 2 weeks. It's going to be a lower amount of interest that accrues on that credit card for that month. Number 3 is to switch your cell phone provider. There are so many smaller providers now that use the same cell phone towers that the big companies do. And so many people don't want the hassle of even looking into this. Maybe you are one who has used one of these smaller providers recently. Let me know down in the comments. Let other people hear your experience, that you find the service is just as good, it's so much less expensive, and it was really easy to do. If they hear your experience, they're more likely to think about switching providers and saving that chunk of money every month. Number 4, you might need to start parenting yourself by saying no. We get out of parenting ourselves after our parent stops parenting us, and we stop telling ourselves no, and no is a good thing to tell yourself when you're doing something to your detriment, when you're doing something that's not good for you, when you shouldn't be eating that ice cream for dinner. Whereas, yeah, you're an adult and you can do that, but it doesn't mean it's good for you. So telling yourself no when it comes to impulse buys or overspending or taking out more debt than you can afford. Number 5, maybe you're one of these people that buys coffee out on a regular basis. You end up going to the grocery store, there's a Starbucks there's one by your office. You sit in line for 30 minutes and you spend $7 on something that's 1,000 calories because you don't realize what's all is in it, but it tastes delicious. And you do this multiple times a month. It does add up. So if somebody tells me it doesn't add up, it does add up. Perhaps take that amount of money you spend monthly and invest in a really cool, really great coffee maker that you can use at home. I think this is a great idea to save on those coffee expenses. Number 6 is to set 1 or 2 saving goals per year. You want a goal so that you have a purpose for doing all of these things. So you have something to look forward to, something to work towards, but you don't want so many that it's even more impossible to get there or you get burned out. So sit down, write 1 or 2 goals down for this year. Number 7, while you are writing down your goals, write down why. What is the why? Is the why because you cannot stand your job, but you're making the amount of money and you can't go find something else right now, and you need to make that amount of money to make sure you can cover your monthly debt payments? Well, when you are able to eliminate your debt, then you're able to have flexibility in that position or in that job, and maybe taking one that's a little less of a salary. Your goal could be something as simple as saving up to pay cash for your next car. Well, right, I want to have the feeling of what it's like to go and sit there and say, here, and not have to worry about what financing options it is. Write down your why. It's going to be extremely helpful in getting to those goals that you've established. Number 8 is for anybody who likes to shop and likes clothing or accessories. Perhaps adopt a more minimalist or a uniform type wardrobe where you've got pieces that work together in a color palette, in a style that is truly yours, one that you know works well with your skin tone, fits your body, makes you feel confident and comfortable, and that you know work well together. Being able to pare down your wardrobe with well-loved, well-worn, and well-looking, you're going to enjoy wearing them, and so you're going to get more wear out of them, and thus maybe you have better quality but less pieces. You're going to waste less, and you're going to spend less money on clothing. Number 9 is to utilize appliances such as slow cookers or toaster ovens or your Instant Pot or your air fryer, because they use so much less electricity than your stove or your oven. You're really going to save using these smaller appliances. Number 10 is to make sure you're planning your purchases so that you're not impulse buying. Impulse buying gets people in a lot of trouble. So you've got a plan. You don't sit there and go on social media or see something out in public and go, ooh, I want that. Ooh, Amazon. Ooh, found that. Ooh, bought. Ooh, oops, that was an impulse. You've planned it out. You go, I think I might want to pick up something like that. Write it down. Okay, yeah, I'm going to see if I like that tomorrow or in a week. You may or you may not. If you do, then you can plan that purchase to find the best deal, and you know you're going to enjoy it because you really want it. Number 11 is to batch your errands so you don't utilize your car more than you need to, or more gas, which costs money. Being able to have a list of things that you know you need to do. Let's say you know you need to go across town to pick up something. Well, what else do I need to do? Let me look at my list, or let me think about the things that are between here and there. I need to drop off an item at the post office. I need to stop by Lowe's and get a new toilet plunger. Whatever it may be, that way you can do those things in one go. Number 12 is to put your savings on direct deposit. It is proven that you are going to save more if you never see the money and you don't have the resistance of having to move the money yourself. So if you have the ability to go into your company and set up a separate withdrawal that never touches your operating or your checking account, that goes straight to your savings account, that is a great idea to make sure you're automatically saving. Number 13 is to pack your lunch and snacks. I add snacks in here because I'm a snacker. Are you a snacker? Let me know. Hit the like button down below if you are. But I have to pack my lunch and my snacks because I know if I don't have snacks, I'll end up eating really bad stuff, or I might stop at a gas station or something like a drive-through because I'm just hangry at that point. And to avoid unhealthy items and spending an outrageous amount of money, packing those lunches and those snacks. Number 14 is to prepare as much as you can the night before by preparing as much as you can for that lunch, for those snacks, for those breakfast before the next day. Don't wait for the next morning to do it because maybe you sleep terribly, maybe you get up late and you just do not have the time nor the will to do that stuff in the morning when your brain is still foggy. Number 15 is you may need to adjust your tax withholdings. If you get a huge tax return, just an FYI, that just means the government's taking more money than they should be out of your check. And that money isn't sitting in an account saving and making interest. No, they're just holding on to it for free. There might be an adjustment you need to make on your tax withholdings that gives you more money in your weekly paycheck or your monthly paycheck, where, yeah, you may not get a huge tax return, or you might have to pay a little bit, but you didn't have them holding on to your money while you weren't making any money on it. Now, if you use this as your way to save money, then maybe think about trying to have the discipline to save the money on your own, and that way you can at least accrue the interest and maybe put it even in a high yield savings account. Make sure you check with your CPA company. Talk to somebody who knows what they're doing so they can look at your particular situation, because everybody's situation is different when it comes to tax withholdings. Number 16 is to stop using shopping as fun. Yeah, I used to do this. I absolutely guilty. It was just fun to go to the mall, and you walked out of there with plenty of things on your credit card and money that was not there that you had to wait till the next month to pay off the stuff that you already had fun last month doing. Number 17, check with your insurance rates. Insurance rates are one of the inflated items that people aren't talking about as much. It's not all over the news like groceries. But if you've gotten insurance bills lately, you may have seen how ridiculous 20, 40, 50, 60% in some cases for homeowners, for car insurance. It is getting out of control. So maybe look into other companies and seeing if you can get a better rate. Number 18, for anybody who has subscriptions to music, I would say that maybe you could think about not having those subscriptions to music, on the Spotify, Pandora, the ad-free versions. Does anybody remember back in the day when we had regular TV and you actually had to wait for the TV to get off commercial? You had to watch the ads, use the commercial break to go and get your snack or go to the bathroom. Raise your hand if you remember this time. I know it's hard for us to think about now because everything is automatic. You can do ad-free everything, but is that really worth that small amount every single month so you don't have to worry about ads? I listen to Pandora music when I'm listening to music, and it's pretty rare, but when commercials come on, I just turn the volume down so I don't have to listen to the commercial. Number 19 is maybe you pick up the habit of going to the library this year. Maybe you utilize learning and reading and consuming things that are beneficial for yourself rather than just mindlessly watching TV or scrolling on social media, which we have enough results now to see how detrimental both of them are. Number 20 goes along with this. It's cut your cable TV. I mean, there are so many ways. If you want to watch TV, you can narrow in on exactly what you want to watch rather than having 200 channels. You watch 2 of them and half the time it's crap and stuff that you're being pushed down your throat to hear somebody's opinion that does not align with your values because that's all that's on your cable TV and you just have it on in the background. I don't know when cable TV will be obsolete, but I'm looking forward to seeing that day completely, because it's a lot of money. It's complete waste if you ask me. Personal opinion, sorry. Number 21 is to get healthy. Medical, pharmaceutical costs are expensive. Trust me, I've had my own bout of issues that have resulted from bad habits where they aren't even that big of health issues, but any random blood work, MRI, scan here or scan there comes back with a huge pop of money due that insurance didn't cover. Not to mention if there are pharmaceuticals that you have to go, or medicines you have to go on because of your bad habits that can be resolved from leading a more healthy lifestyle. So many people would rather just take the medication. And I'm not saying people don't have to take medications, because there's some situations where you can't change anything and you might need that. Completely understand. But there's a lot of situations where just doing something that maybe you don't want to do, but you should do for the health of your body would result in you not needing that medication. So just think about getting healthy this year, actually making it a thing and doing it for you and for the benefit of your longevity. Number 22 is to use a Payoff Tracker. This one's a lot more fun. So let's say we did this. I showed this plenty when we were paying off our mortgage, which we did in 6 years. We had a picture of it was a house, a clip art house that we printed out. We drew lines on it. We drew dollar amounts. I think it was every $10,000 was the increments, and our daughter colored it in, and we got to the top of the house and we paid it off. You could do this with debt. Let's say you have credit card debt. You could do like 3 jars are your credit card debt, and you could write how much each of them and color it off. Or you're saving for a vehicle, or you're paying off your vehicle, print a little car out and draw those lines on it. That way you've got a little bit of success. Every time you get to a milestone of saving or paying down debt, you could color another one off and color another one off. And we kept it on the fridge. That way it's right there in front of us. We go out the door knowing our motivation. We come home knowing our motivation. Number 23 is a great way to make those debt trackers go up and up and up and color more and more and more, and it's to sell your clutter. So we have a stuff problem. So many people have so much stuff that they don't even use. They pay to store for zero reason. And so many people are also great deal finders that are looking for other people's stuff because they don't want to pay full price like you did. Selling your stuff can recoup some money, maybe not 100%, maybe not even 15% of what you paid, but if you can get it out of the house, it's less clutter that you're looking at, you're getting a little bit of money back towards it, and you're not paying to store it. Number 24 is to be a smart shopper, specifically regarding unit prices. Now, this really comes into play regarding grocery stores. If something says it's on sale, FYI, that doesn't mean that it's cheaper than the bottle right below it that has more ounces or less ounces in it. Oftentimes, that whole sale thing is just an illusion. It's actually not the case. It's still a profit maker for that company or that grocery store. You need to look at the actual unit prices because you'll see that the unit prices are lower or the same in most cases. Number 25 is to stay at home. Create an environment when you're in your home that makes you want to hang out there. Have things, hobbies, games. Enjoy being in your home, because I hear some people say, every time I go out the door, I end up spending a bunch of money. Well, yeah, because things cost money as you go out. You're paying for this house. So many people don't even hang out at their house. They have all these activities. They're gone from sun up to way past sundown. They constantly keep themselves going, and they run themselves ragged, and they never enjoy their home. So maybe lead a little bit more of a simple life, sit back and see how you can enjoy your home more. Number 26 is to spend more on quality so that you save in the long run. Now, I know at different stages in your life that might not be possible. You've got such razor thin margins right now that if you need something, it's not about the quality of it. You need the thing, so you're going to go find the cheapest one. I understand. But at different stages, you might look at something differently. I even now look at things differently as far as quality than I did before our mortgage was paid off. Like, there are things that I buy now or back then that I knew I could have spent a little bit more on and gotten a better cost per use and lasted longer, but I wasn't willing to spend that. Now I might be more willing to. It's different stages in your life. So if you're at one of those stages, really stop buying the cheap things or the less quality items. Now, quality doesn't always equal cost, but it could. So just look into that. Number 27 is to stop using credit cards if you can't control yourself with them. I've gone through 2 stages in my life regarding credit cards. In my 20s, that is why I got into debt. I did not understand them. I didn't understand the actual consequences, the actual interest, the actual how much I was paying for something. You know, I could have bought something for $20 and ended up with interest over time spending $50 on the thing, and I never would have bought the thing if it was $50. So credit cards can really get you in trouble if you don't understand them, if you don't pay them off, if you're not disciplined with them. So if you can't control yourself right now, later on, I was easily able to once I understood what they were, how they operated. So if you're not disciplined in that, for a time period until you are, I think it was 7 years for me, nope, not touching, had no idea, no need for one of those things because I knew I couldn't control how I was spending on them. Number 28 is to cancel subscriptions. Every few months, you really should. We're such a subscription-based society now. Go through your list of subscriptions. Write them down. Better yet, keep a list of your subscriptions with your username, password, and the website so that you know you can easily go in. How is it paid annually? Is it paid monthly? Go through that list every few months. See if there's something that you're not using that you can get rid of, because you go through cyclical parts of your life where you use things more than you don't. You may have had a subscription for a workout app. You've had an injury. Now you can't use that for a long time. Why not cancel it for a bit? So go through your subscriptions, see which ones you can eliminate this year. Number 29 is to make sure you are maintaining your things. I know of someone who had a check engine light on their car for several months. Never did anything about it. The repair when they first went off probably would have been a whole lot less expensive than that repair that ended up needing to happen 4 months later that was almost the amount of what the car was worth. Maintaining your appliances, maintaining your HVAC system, maintaining your home, your caulking, your weather stripping, your roof, your gutters, maintaining your vehicle, maintaining your health. All of it's important. Number 30, limit eating out. Maybe you limit it to nothing. You don't go out to eat whatsoever. Maybe you use your no spend as I'm not eating out rather than doing a full no spend in January, February. I'm not eating out during those 2 months. So I can break that bad habit. So I can sit back and think about how much I'm actually spending, whereas eating out, just so you know, cost you 300 to 400% more than making that meal at home, than eating at home. 300 to 400, 4 times as much money than if you were to do it at home. Just think about that. Number 31 is to stock up on food when you see it's at a great price. If you're really paying attention, you will know what a good price on something is. You'll know the general range that it usually is at the grocery stores you go to. So if you see something's on a great deal, maybe it's canned goods, maybe it's beans or rice or meat that goes on sale that you see as a great discount, make sure you're leaving yourself a buffer in your grocery budget. So let's say you want to spend $100 a week. Well, only spend $90. That way you've got a little bit of buffer that can cover those great sale items that you find. Number 32 is when you're making food, when you're preparing what you're going to make, avoid recipes that have those weird special ingredients that you wouldn't use any other time. And it's not something like a lime. Like if something takes a lime, you can go and buy 1 lime. But if it requires these 2 odd spices that you aren't real sure about and you don't use in any other recipes, and spices are pretty expensive, maybe either avoiding them, not putting them in the recipe and seeing if you still like it, avoid the recipe altogether, or trying to find some sort of a substitute, which you can easily do on Google. The best thing, one of the great things about internet, you can say, I don't have an egg. What can I use in place of it? Might taste a little bit different, but maybe you're out of something, you might have a replacement for it. Number 33 is to create a yearly expense plan. This is where you map out expenses for the following year. So you have your list of months and you go through and see what's coming up. Obviously, the holidays fall at the exact same time, but the vet said the dog probably would need his teeth cleaned around October-ish. So let me write that down, and then I've got that graduation in May, our cousin's getting married in September. Write down all of these things, and from there, you're going to be able to use that when you are making your budget so you can plan. Number 34, from that plan on how much you need to save. So again, let's say the holidays fall every single year at the exact same time. You want to spend $1,000. Well, then probably a good idea to start stocking away from that. You can take January through October, 10 months, save at that $100 each month towards that goal. The dog needs his teeth cleaned. Okay, so that's going to happen maybe around June. I'm going to save $50 a month. That's going to cover it. That way you can utilize that plan you made for when these expenses are coming up, and you can start reserving these monies in small bits so they don't hurt as bad for when that expense does get here. Number 35, this is one of my favorite things to do. Call it a trick, call it well known, maybe not. When you are online shopping. Shopping online, to me, is the most beneficial now because you have more selection and you can find good deals. So what I'll do is I'll put in a particular item. You say you're looking for something, you put in the generic wording of it, okay? You find one that you like. You've read the reviews, this is the brand, this is the model of the thing that I want. Then you copy that description, put it in your Google search bar. Look under shopping. It's going to give you a list of all the places, the retailers that you can go through that have that item. Then you can see which one of those retailers has the best deal. Keep in mind, do any of them have free shipping? Do they not have free shipping? If something's $10 less on this website, but their shipping is $15, then it's not a good deal. Then what you can do is take that retailer and look under Google again, search and see if that retailer has any discount coupon codes that you can put in. That way you can get extra money off. This is one of my most favorite shopping online tips. Number 36, it's about this time annually to remind you of one of the best ways that I save money, especially on food and groceries, which are ridiculous. Meal plan. So many people, every time I leave this tip, I don't like to meal plan. I don't like to be that regimented. Okay, well, I like to save money, and this is a great way to do it. So maybe it's worth a try if you haven't. Especially if you've got more than one mouth to feed. Planning your meals. Planning your meals based off what you already have in the freezer, what you already have in the pantry. Going ahead and deciding that you're going to buy this and that. Knowing that you have everything you need for the week. You can plan meals every 3 days if you don't want to plan them for a week. I used to plan for a month, and then I found that wasn't efficient back when, like 2021, when prices started going ridiculous. Now I only plan weekly. Number 37 is to cook ahead for the week. Maybe you go ahead and make a casserole on Sunday that you're going to heat up on Tuesday because you get home late from work and it takes about an hour to prepare. Maybe you go ahead and chop up some vegetables. Maybe you go ahead and pull out the meat you need from the freezer. That way it's not frozen by the time you need to cook with it. Preparing for the week ahead so that you can be prepared and you don't run into any obstacles which would cause you to maybe need to go out and get something to eat. Number 38 is not wasting your leftovers, to eat them, to reuse them, to repurpose them, whatever it is. There are so many tips within this one. You can make sure that you have a shelf dedicated to your leftovers, write on a sticky note the date and what it is. That way everybody knows where to go. Maybe you have at the end of the week, you clean out the fridge. Friday nights are clean out the fridge week and you eat whatever is left over, but look at ways that you can reduce waste of that food. Number 39, if you find yourself over shopping because you're bored, going on shopping apps, not being able to avoid the impulse buys, it's probably a good idea to remove things like Amazon or any other shopping apps from your phone. If you really need something, you can sit down intentionally, go to a desktop and go into that site and order it. But not having it on your phone puts some distance between you and that impulse, because it puts distance between you and the decision to have to go and spend some time, sit down, open up the computer and do that ordering. Number 40 is to reduce convenience foods. Oftentimes convenience foods may be less expensive as far as junk, things that are ultra processed, but also convenience foods that maybe something that's already chopped up when you could buy the items and chop them and spend an extra 10 minutes. Now, I've had this comment before and I've had somebody say, well, I need things that are already chopped. I have arthritis in my hand and it's not easy. I understand that. This tip is not for you and I'm glad that those items are there to help you cook at home. But avoiding convenience food as much as you can to help reduce cost. Number 41, this was a goal that I made for myself last year, and I was so happy that it was one of the few goals that I made, and I've done it throughout the entire year, and I look to add to it this year, and it was to make more things from scratch. So some things that I learned to make this year from scratch is I made my own cakes from scratch. I made my own brownies. I made my own buttercream icing, my own cinnamon rolls, my own sourdough bread. I even made apple butter, and I canned for the very first time. I did so much more this year, and it's been one of the years where I've just really enjoyed learning to do these things and also realizing how much better they taste. Number 42 is to quit one bad habit this year. I mean, your bad habit could be something super simple, such as going out and doing that daily coffee. Your bad habit could be something even bigger, such as cutting back on smoking or vaping, which is a lot more difficult. But quitting bad habits is not only good for your pocket because oftentimes they cost money, but probably also good for your health. Number 43, I talked about it a bit earlier. It is on this list, and it's to make a budget because everybody needs a budget. A successful business makes a new budget every year. They know what they're planning to spend, and it's okay if you go over budget in one item and under budget in another. But I think out of everything on this list, if you were to not do anything but this one thing, you would see significant results. Guaranteed. Number 44, part of budgeting is tracking what you spend. This is humongous. There's no point in doing a budget if you're not tracking what you spend. So I use the EveryDollar app, which I know is not available in every country, and also if you're going to tell me it costs money, it doesn't. There's the basic version that I use that's free, that's plenty. You can upgrade so that it connects to your account. That way it sees what comes in and comes out. But if you're disciplined, you really only need the basic free version. It's so simple. It's so user-friendly, so flexible, and so easy to use. And you can put in how much you spend, look at it anytime you want, have it right there on your phone. I love doing budgets, so it's one of those things that initially I didn't, but I really, really enjoy it. It allows me to know what I need to spend and how much I can put towards my saving goals. Number 45 goes along with budgeting, goes along with tracking, and it's one way that I trick myself into saving more money. Every time I track an expense, I round up. So if I go spend $44.59, I write that I spent $45. If I go spend 4701, I write that I spent 48. And these little bits on my expenses, anything that I spend that I automatically take extra out of my budget, leaves more in my checking account so that my checking account buffer continues to grow. And you can reconcile that out if you need to move money eventually into your savings account. But what it does is it helps you build that buffer. It helps you if you've been living paycheck to paycheck and you haven't been able to build that buffer of just in case, your paycheck didn't come through, there's still money in your account. Doing the small rounding up over time helps add that buffer. Number 46 is the most fun part of everything I've talked about since budgeting, and it's to budget for some fun stuff. Budget for some wants, even if it's small. Even if it's the time where you are really clamping down and really focused, and it's not including a no spend month, okay? So you really want to make sure you don't get burned out. So allow yourself, allocate just a small amount here or there. Now, if it's a larger or a different time in your life, you've been frugal all your life, you've got no debt, but you hard to spend money, hard to pull back from those frugal ways. Allow yourself a little bit more freedom. You've earned it. You've got to this point. It's okay. Make sure it's intentional. Make sure it's in budget. Make sure you have it tracked, and enjoy it a little bit. Number 47 is to pick up a side hustle. Pick up a way to make extra income. I am going to do a video, so make sure if you haven't, you subscribe to the channel. Maybe you are watching this in a later date. Go ahead and search my channel for this video if you are looking at this later on in 2025, and look at what I'm talking about, and it will look like work. It's not one of those, you do this and you're gonna make $750 a day. No. You have to exchange a little bit of effort in order to make some money, but there might be some side hustle, some side job opportunities to help bring in more income this year. Number 48 is to create an emergency fund. Maybe you use that rounding up, maybe use that savings goal to create your emergency fund this year. I recently had somebody post, a subscriber on my comments, about how they had to replace their roof, and it was $12,000, and they were so thankful to have had their emergency fund. Now it felt really hard to pull that money out. Now they're rebuilding that emergency fund, but just think about how much more they would have spent on that roof if they'd had to finance it or put it on a credit card, where credit card rates are upwards of 30% now, which they prey on people who don't have any money. And that money and that interest that's charged on them, I think there should be a limit on how much interest should be charged, because it keeps people perpetually broke, because you can never get ahead if you're having to live on credit cards and your interest rate is so high that you can't ever get the balance down. Number 49, if you are taking this year, 2025, and if you're watching this still in 2024, I'm looking forward into 2025. If you're starting in 2025 and you're on your first jaunt into being frugal or living a more disciplined life when it comes to money, understand that people will make comments, that people will scoff at you, because they make fun of it, or make little comments here or there, passive aggressive comments, because you're doing something that's not normal. Normal currently is broke, and a lot of times when people make these comments is because they are in a dire situation themselves and they don't want you to be more ahead than them. They want you to be on a level playing field. So don't feel bad. Don't stop what you're doing. Just be prepared for it to happen. And number 50, when you look at all this practical stuff and you really narrow it down to a good why, it's to understand that you can't take this money with you. No, somebody might say that I'm just going to spend because I can't take it with me. Well, at some point, there will be a point in your life when you won't be able to make any more of it. So you need to have some left over. You are sacrificing to save for your future self, because more than likely you're going to live past your working years in more times than not. And of course, there are people who don't, who pass away earlier on in their lives. But more than likely you are. You may even know somebody who's at that situation past their working years, and they do not have money set aside. They do not have retirement. They're having to depend on a fixed income, and it's not a good situation. It's better to sacrifice now, to say no to yourself now, to put these tips into practice now, because they're small and they can be done daily and have a big impact over time, rather than having to sacrifice more and not being able to do anything about it later on in life. If you got to the end of this video, please let me know. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some great reminders or some great new ideas. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. If you're new and this is your first time viewing my channel, definitely check it out. I've got a lot of great videos on saving ideas and just hopefully interesting things regarding money that you can see on the channel. Hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend for a new video.